friends, welcome back to the Photoshop Basics for Scrapbooking class. In today's lesson, we are going to piggyback off of what we started learning last week using guidelines and beginning the process of planning our scrapbooking pages in these two programs. And today we're going to talk about creating shapes and using those for placeholders. Now, shapes are an awesome tool to use when you are configuring your pages, and I'm going to show you how you can do that. And then we're going to take this even further later on in this course, talking about how we can then use those shapes to become the foundation of our very own layer templates. So let's head over to the computer, and I'm going to teach you about creating shapes and how you can use those to further develop your page designs inside of Photoshop Creative Cloud and Photoshop Elements. Welcome back over here to my desktop screen. We're starting today inside of Photoshop Creative Cloud, and we're going to be working on creating shapes as placeholders for different elements we might add to our pages. So today we're going to start by we're going to start by creating a new canvas. For this one, I am going to do a 9x12 project life layout. So rather than being 9x12, I'm going to double that width to 18x12. We're opening this up to see the double page. I'm also going to back this up just a little bit. And then I want to add a guideline into the middle of my page just so I can see where the middle is. Now, what I want to do is create some shapes that I can designate as cards or as photos. What I'm going to do here is go over to my shape tool in my left-hand toolbar. If the rectangle is not what you see, you can click and hold on this in order to select the ellipse or the polygon, line, or a custom shape. I just want the rectangle, so we're going to do the rectangle first. Now, I know that my cards and my photos are either going to be sized at 6 inches wide by 4 inches tall, or 3 inches wide by 4 inches tall, in order to go into my divided page protector for my 9x12 album. So I am just going to click into the middle of my screen so that my Create Rectangle menu pops up. Then I'm able to add into the width and the height little fields here the exact measurements that I want. So let's say I want to begin with a 3x4 placeholder. So that might be a card or a photo. At this point in time, I'm not going to choose what that is. I just want to create the format or the design of the page that I'm working on for my project life. So let's start by making let's begin with a 6x4. So a 6 inch by 4 inch rectangle, and we're going to hit OK. Now when this pops up, you can see right now that there's an outline around it and it is white. Let's change the color so it's not white so we can see it a little bit better. To do that, I'm going to come up here to the shape menu. I'm clicking on the box that says fill, and let's just choose a color. There's a lot of white colors here. Let's make this brown so that we can see it a little easier. After I selected the brown, I hit enter a couple of times until those lines went away. Now I can flip over to my move tool, click on this box, and I can move it wherever I want it to go. So this I'm going to put right here because I'm going to design this as though the spot here was a 6x4 and the spot at the bottom is a 6x4, and the rest of them will be 3x4s. So let's make an additional rectangle, which you can go back to the rectangle here and click and make a new one. Let's actually do that. So we'll click into the middle. We'll say 6 inches by 4 inches. We're going to hit OK. Switch over to the move tool, and then I can move this into place. Another thing you can do is just copy and paste the rectangle that you've already made. So right now you can see I've got rectangle 1 selected in my layers menu. While it's selected, I can click on my keyboard, Control or Command C to copy it, and then Control or Command V to paste a new one. So here I can fill in the next spot next to the first one here. Let's do it again. We're going to paste and add in my 4x6 down at the bottom. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 4x6s. But on this side of my page, I'm actually going to add one more 4x6 that will go into the center. And one of these, oh, there we go. I'm like, some of these are not, there we are. These ones were not where they should have been. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 4x6s. Now it's a little tough to see them because the colors are bleeding into each other. So I'm going to take this one here, rectangle number 1, with the layer selected. I can come into the properties menu here at the above the layers, and if I scroll down, there's this field that says appearance. From the appearance section, I can click once again on that fill box, and I'm going to choose a different color, maybe a darker brown, just so we can see that these are 3 different pieces. The ones that are touching the larger sections are also the same color. If I were to take away my guideline, it would be very hard to see that there are 4 different cards here and not 2 large cards. So I'm going to go ahead and change those to the darker brown appearance as well. That way, when this line disappears, we can now see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different boxes. Let's put that guideline back. So now we're going to fill the rest of this card with 3x4 rectangles. So we're going to use our shape tool, the rectangle shape tool again. If this happens when you click and then there's like an outline that comes around one of your shapes, just hit the enter button and it'll go away. Then you can click into the center. We're going to make this 3 inches wide by 4 inches tall. We'll hit OK. And for this one, let's make our smaller boxes maybe like orange colors. So I think that'll work. Okay, we're going to hit enter a couple times, grab our move tool, and then we can move our shape where we want it to go. From here, with that layer selected, I'm going to copy it and paste it. And we're just going to add these in like every other spot here. Like so. So we'll fill those in. Now here we're going to run into the same problem where they're all touching each other, so you can't see the difference between them. So we'll come back over to the appearance filter here, and let's just choose maybe a lighter orange. And then with that layer selected, I'm going to copy it, paste it for one last square. And here is our layout. Now you can choose whatever colors you want to make your different boxes. It's whatever you want. But when I look at this now, I can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3x4s and 2 4x6s on the left side. On the right side, I have 3 4x6s and 3 3x4s. So this gives me the layout configuration, the true layout configuration that I want to create for my week of project life. From this, I can then change out the boxes with photos or journaling cards. For example, if I were to open up, let's open a couple of these cards real quick from one of the digital kits in Patreon. And let's take the recipe card. I can select it all, copy it, and then go back over to my layout here and paste my card in. So then this I can add into one of those 4x6 spots. Maybe the recipe card I'm going to put, you know, right here. Or maybe I'm going to put it in the middle of this one. So now my recipe card is where I want it to go. Then we can grab the 3x4, same thing. We're going to select it all, copy it, come back over to our main page and paste it. And maybe this one I want to put, you know, up in the upper right hand corner. I can do the same thing with photos, adding those into the different spots and just having those clear guidelines for where everything's going to go. So as I'm designing my layout, I can shift things around. Let's say I decide I don't like this here, I can move it to a different spot instead of having to guess where all of those spots are. It's a little bit different of a way to create those place markers. Another reason why I might use a shape as a placeholder is for a kit where I do not own it digitally. So if I have a card in my stash that says, you know, something I wanted to put in here, maybe it says like it's dinner time, but I don't have that as a card that I can add digitally into my layout here. Instead, what I'll do is I'll add a place marker. So maybe I'm going to put that card right here. And then I will go and grab my text tool. Let's make it black so we can see it. And I'm going to add a text box onto this card. Whoa, that's really big. So let's make that not big. And I'm just going to type out in here, it's dinner time card. So that when I go to print my elements and when I go to put this page together, if I have this saved digitally, I can pull it open and see like what was supposed to go in this spot. Oh, right, it's dinner time card. That's what I'm going to put there. So it becomes a placeholder for cards that we don't own digitally, and yet you can still use this as a planning tool to help you know exactly where you want to put it. Let's hop over to Photoshop Elements and walk through the same process over there. So first we're going to create a new canvas. So let's do the same thing. We're going to change this to inches, and I want this to be 18 inches wide by 12 inches tall. And why are you not 300? 300 pixels per inch, and we'll hit OK. So here is our canvas. Next, what I'm going to do is grab my shape tool. In the left bar here, it's under the drawing tools. So we want the rectangle. Right now it's going to be this yellow color. That's fine. You can change the color to whatever you want. And then what we're going to do is create a fixed size. So here I want this to be 6 inches by 4 inches. And we'll click on the page to add it on. I can then use my move tool to grab this, and let's see if it'll snap it into the middle for me. Yep, it does. And then we're going to add it into its spot in the middle here. With this shape tool selected, I'm going to come up into my layers panel, right click, and we're going to, where are you? Duplicate the layer and hit OK. So now we have a second one that I can add here at the bottom. So let's go ahead and do that again. This time I'm going to change this to a lighter yellow color. I still want the fixed size 6 by 4, and you want to make sure that you've got your background layer selected instead of the shape. If you have the shape selected, it's going to just change the color of the shape that you have, that you're working with, that you have selected in the layers panel. So then we're going to click and add the lighter shade of yellow in here. So this one we will go ahead and line up next to the first. I'm going to come back to this shape number 2, and we're going to right click and duplicate the layer. So then I have 2 of them. And then let's come back over to this one more time and duplicate this one again, because I can add that to the right side here. Okay, so there we go. So we've got our 6 by 4 spots configured and added to the page. All right, so with the background selected, I want to go back to the shape tool again. This time we're going to change our fixed size to 3 inches by 4 inches. Let's change our color to like the orangey color, and we'll click on the screen to add it. Then I'm going to switch to my move tool so I can move it where I want it to go, just like that. With the layer selected, shape number 3, we're going to right click and duplicate it. And we're going to do this a couple of times because we'll put 1 at the bottom. We can duplicate that again. We're going to put 1 here in the middle. We'll duplicate it again and add that here. Duplicate it again. Add that here. And duplicate it 1 more time to put it here. And then we need 2 additional 3 by 4s that are maybe a darker shade of the orange. We'll go back to the rectangle tool. We'll switch this to a darker shade. It's still the 3 inches by 4 inches, so I can click on the screen, use my move tool, and then move this into place. And then we'll do the duplicate layer and move that into that last white space. So now we have the exact same format as we did in Photoshop Creative Cloud. So from here, we can now open some of these cards. So we've got the, let's open up those same two that we used from before. With the recipe card here, I can select all of it and copy it. And then we'll come back over to our template here and paste it on top. And it went to the bottom of the layer. So let's put it at the top of the layers. And then we can move this on top of whatever section we want it to go into. So we can put it maybe right here. Then we can do the same thing for our food one. So we'll select all of it, copy it, come back over to our template and paste that one in, which again went to the bottom. Let's put it on the top. And we can put this wherever we want that one to go. And we keep doing that until we're happy with the way the layout works. So this is using shapes. Oh, and really quick, I should also say that if we wanted this card to be a card that we don't have digitally, to create a note, we're just going to use the text tool, create a little text box here, and we'll make our text maybe quite a bit bigger. And we'll say it's dinner time card. We'll hit OK. That went again to the bottom of my layer, so let's put it at the top so that we can see it. And there we go. So there, it's dinner time card, as a reminder that that is the card I want to put in that spot. All right, friends, that is going to be our lesson for today. For homework, I would love for you to create a templated version like this of a pocket page layout. If you're working in a project life type of project, whether that is a 12 by 12 or a 9 by 12 or a 6 by 12, create a double page layout using shapes so that you can designate the different designs that you might want to use for your layout, but also where all of those cards are going to go. If you are not working in a project life type of album, then what I would love for you to do is whatever album you are working in that has divided page protectors, create a template or create a canvas where you're adding those shapes to designate the different pockets that you have in that page protector. So maybe you're doing a 6 by 8 and you want to create one that is a full page 6 by 8 next to a divided page protector that's got a 6 by 4 and 2 3 by 4s. You know, let me actually do that really fast just so you can see what that might look like. So if we're creating a, so it would be 12 inches by 8 inches. Here we go. We're going to add our guideline into the middle so we can see where that is. We'll create a 3 by 4, sure, and then let's switch to this to move that into place. Then we're going to click off the screen so we get the background, go to the shape tool again, let's switch to the lighter color, click on the screen, we're going to move that into place here, click on the background or off of the layer there, shape tool again, this time let's do a yellow, our fixed size this time will be 6 inches by 4 inches, we'll click into the canvas here and move it into place. So there is our divided page protector. And then we're going to have a full page photo on the left. So you could leave this blank if you want, or you could create another rectangle or another shape. Maybe this time we'll do the darkest of the colors, and we're going to make it 6 inches wide by 8 inches tall. We'll click on the screen, use our move tool, and move this into place. So now we can see we've got a full page photo, 2 3 by 4s, and a 4 by 6. So if you're working in more of a story kind of format of project, then try to create a layout similar to this. And then next week when we meet back up again, I'm going to teach you one more thing that you can do with these shapes to help you designate where things are going, especially if you've got cards that have mostly white space on them. Sometimes it's hard to see where one card ends and another one begins. So we're going to talk about adding outlines around the outside of a shape or the outside of a component that you might add onto your page. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. Until then, I hope you have a great rest of your day, friends, and I will see you in